Coming up next on a very special edition of LUTV on Fox. KBTV Fox 4 News anchor Sheldra Brigham talks with outgoing President James Simmons about his 43 years of service to Lamar University. Stay right where you are because LUTV on Fox starts now. Hi everybody, I'm Josh Yawn and welcome to the award-winning LUTV on Fox, a television program produced by the Department of Communication at Lamar University. Each show will feature the people, the organizations, and the departments that have helped Lamar become one of the fastest-growing universities in the state of Texas. And long before I hosted Family Knows Best right here on Fox, I was a student at Lamar and a news anchor for LUTV News, right here on this set. Boy, I'm glad there's no tapes of that lying around. But during that time as students, the one thing we noticed was that Lamar was growing, and growing fast. The key figure in the success for the university for the last 14 years has been President James Simmons. In an interview that was shot in March, Fox 4 News anchor Sheldra Brigham sits down with Simmons as he reflects upon his life at Lamar University.
What's your favorite instrument? I know you play several, but do you have
a favorite? I like the
favorite?
tenor sax or the piano. Probably in many ways it's the piano because you can sit down and play alone and people want to hear you play the piano. No one really wants to hear a solo tenor sax for very long. But I think I really like the piano.
It was an unprecedented rise for Dr. James Simmons to go from college band director to become one of the most successful presidents in the history of Lamar University. His youth was spent with the idea of becoming a professional musician. Simmons attended Memphis State University, where he learned several instruments, played with bands, and worked in recording studios. Toward the end of the Vietnam War, Simmons graduated college and came to Southeast Texas to check his draft status. During that time, Jimmy substituted for a band teacher at a local junior high in Beaumont, not knowing this would be the start of a 4-decade overture in education. After a stint teaching high school, Simmons became the band director at Memphis State and in 1970 was hired as an instructor and band director at Lamar.
Did you ever think that you would leave that behind?
No. My ultimate goal after teaching in junior high and high school was to become a college band director. I thought that would be, I just wanted to do that. So when I got the opportunity to go to Memphis State, I obviously took it and went back and taught at my alma mater, and then right away I got a call from Lamar that asked me to come back here and teach, and I've been here ever since.
So leaving the classroom and going into administration, how was that transition?
It was gradual, but I've always had students. I may not teach them for credit, but I've always had a group of students that I tried to mentor and help. If there's one thing you do miss when you're administrator, it is the direct contact with students.
Simmons maintained that connection with students when he became the dean of the College of Fine Arts and Communication and later as the president of Lamar University in 1999.
It was a unanimous vote by the Board of Regents of the Texas State University System that named Dr. James Simmons president of Lamar University Beaumont.
You've been described as being student-friendly. How would you describe your feelings towards students at Lamar?
I've taught literally hundreds of students, and many of those students have gone on to wonderful careers, and we've stayed in touch. And some of my closest friends today were my students here when I first started.
Another rewarding feeling for President Simmons is seeing Big Red on the gridiron and hearing the sounds of the marching band after a 21-year absence.
Touchdown, Cardinals!
Why was that important to bring football back to Lamar?
There is a reason there's a football team at almost every university in the state of Texas. It's very difficult to live in an area like Beaumont, Texas, which is considered the pro football capital of the world, and every competitor around you has football and you don't. And it's not just football, it's the band, it's cheerleaders, it's the dance team, it's fraternities and sororities. Early on I said I'm not going to think about it until we address all of these other issues that we have. And although we haven't addressed them all, we reached a point where I felt, and I guess really the community and the university felt, that we were far enough along that we could start thinking about football.
When you're sitting and you're watching a home game and the students and the community and faculty and staff are in the stands, what are you feeling at that moment?
It's extremely rewarding. And what I didn't anticipate was I had no idea that tailgating was what it was going to be. And the fact that we sold out of tailgating spaces before we sold out of tickets was just shocking to me.
Coming up next on this special edition of LUTV on Fox, President Simmons gives insight on how the job has changed him and how he's dealt with criticism. You're watching LUTV on Fox.
Quality housing, quality residence life on this campus, when I became president, was probably one of my top priorities. It gives us the opportunity to increase the number of full-time students we have.
How has being president of the university, how has that changed you, if any?
I'm much more patient now than I probably was in the past. I have much more appreciation for the entire educational process. If you're a professor or a department chair, you're concerned primarily with your immediate situation. And as president, you get to basically see the whole picture. And it's a very different view in many ways.
What are some accomplishments that are the most important to you in your tenure?
I think the first decision that had to be, the first issue that I faced was reaffirmation from our accrediting agency. We were basically on probation when I became president. The second thing was the faculty, the salaries of the faculty. We had the lowest paid faculty in the state. So an immediate goal was to take this wonderful group of faculty that we had and try to get them the remuneration they needed. The facilities. We were very fortunate to get an immediate tuition revenue bond, and we were able to start renovating and start cleaning up the facilities. And then the perception of the university was not real great at the time. So
Obviously, in your position with the rewards, there will come some criticism. What would you say has been your biggest criticism as president?
I have heard it and I've listened to it and I've worked with it and through it, but I've always thought the minute you think there's an issue, you need to go right away and address it and talk to the people. And they may not agree with you, but just involving them in the decision that you made and helping them understand why you made it has been a great asset for me.
Just in judging from what you've told me, some people might say you've had a charmed career going from band director to university president. Have there been any challenges, or what's been the most difficult aspect of that transition?
Well, for almost any college president, you don't go to a school to learn to be a college president. I was very fortunate. There's a national organization that all university presidents belong to, and they have a new president's school. And I remember I was encouraged to go, and I did, the summer before I took office.
During the summer of 2013, Simmons will leave the stage as president of Lamar University.
Lamar University has named a sole finalist in its presidential search. Dr. Kenneth Evans will succeed Dr. Jimmy Simmons, who is retiring after 14 years.
It's kind of satisfying to me to know that the next president is going to have, I think, the advantage of some of the changes we've made these last few years. Next year, we should have our freshman class should be the most selective class in our history. So, you know, I think the next president can look forward to increased graduation rates, retention rates. I think the academic side of the university is in wonderful shape.
Any advice for that person?
I would advise them to go to the new president's school. Any advice they need, I'll be happy to give them. But you know, a lot of times you would hope that the new president would come in with being able to put a new vision together and a new movement together and new momentum together and move us to the next level.
Any long-time career, you sort of have your schedule and your pattern for your day. How do you think you'll feel on that last day as president of Lamar?
There will probably be some sadness, and you have to understand that not only is this a place where you work, but it's also a place where you grew up with the people you work with. Your families grew up together, your children grew up together. It's so much, it's as much a family working together as it is a job when you've been somewhere 43 years.
Next on LUTV on Fox, Susan Simmons, the wife of Lamar President Simmons, joins us to share what she's learned about her mate during his presidency. You're watching LUTV on Fox, the only show that brings you the best of Lamar University. We'll be back.
My greatest accomplishment is surviving 14 years as president.
From faculty to dean to president, Dr. James Simmons accomplished more than he ever anticipated. During his years as president, Simmons increased student attendance both on campus and online, as well as raising millions of dollars for the school. But that wasn't the only thing he brought to Lamar.
Since the day I became president, the community members and various students always said, "When are you going to bring back football?"
We have been very, very happy for 33 years. We've been very fortunate in our relationship.
I think one of the most exciting days of my life was the day my daughter was born, and then the next one was the day that my twins were born. And I have to go back to the day that I was married. Those were very exciting days in my life. Recently, one of the most exciting days of my life, of course, was the day that I found out that I was going to be the next president of this university.
Your wife is in charge of, I know she has her garden, but she's in charge of the grounds or a good portion
Well,
of it?
she took that on as a challenge when I became president, and I was very happy to let her work with the grounds people, work with the physical plant to make sure that we had the proper, what did she call it?
Curb appeal.
Curb appeal, yeah, yeah. You know, the first impression people get of your campus is the way it looks.
Behind every president is the First Lady. Susan Simmons has been accompanying him since 1968 as the faces of Lamar University for the past 14 years.
I know this says Jimmy Simmons Boulevard, but understand right behind Jimmy should be Susan Simmons Boulevard, because I cannot tell you, you will never know what a dynamic impact she has had on this university, not for 14 years, but for 43 years. And I want to tell you how much I appreciate all you've done for me and our family in this university. You are the best.
Thank you for being here with us and doing the interview. Your husband definitely lit up when you came in the room.
Oh, that's good.
In the 14 years of being First Lady and being by your husband's side and your partner and his partner, what's that been like for you?
Fun, challenging, entertaining. I've loved every minute of it.
it's just been living your life like you would normally live it, but it's been doing it within a campus situation. And this is my family. I've loved it.
You say you didn't know he could do all of those things. What are some things that you've learned about him in over the years?
Well, I've learned he has an extreme amount of patience. He's patient with most everybody. Takes a lot to get him really mad. I can accomplish that. He doesn't respond to something immediately. If something upsets him, he backs off from it and thinks about it for a day, and then he responds. The other thing he does is, I think is very interesting and sometimes can be trying on a wife when you are waiting for him to come home, or you're supposed to be someplace, or you're in the car going someplace. He answers every single phone call that he gets every day. If he has a list of phone calls at the end of the day, he returns every call.
Does that drive you nuts?
Sometimes it does. You know, you're in the car going someplace and he's still on the phone, and you're waiting for him in his office to go someplace, and he said, "I've got one more call I've got to make."
And that's important to you to get those done daily?
Yes. Yes. You know, there's one thing I think most people resent is a slow response from when they need an immediate response. And I'm always upset when people don't return my phone calls for 2 or 3 days, so I was just determined I was not going to let that happen.
So he's patient when he needs to be and fast acting when he needs to be as well.
It's a really good combination, but the not responding immediately when you're mad or upset about something, I think, you know, when you're raising children, they tell you to back off and count to 10 before you swing at them. Well, he backs off and thinks about, you know, what he's going to say, and usually by the time he responds, he's calmed down and he's not upset anymore.
The university's resurgence in the community during his time in office has been conducted with open arms by Jimmy and Susan.
The two of you and the university are so involved in Beaumont and in Southeast Texas. What does that mean to you to be such a big part of your community, to be so involved?
It's home. You don't think about being so involved. It's just something you naturally do because we were both born and raised here. And it's a small enough community so that when you do serve on boards and different organizations, you know people and they're your friends.
Well, and we'd have been involved in the community whether I was president or not. We love the community, and we've always tried to be part of the larger community, even as we began 43 years ago.
Well, now you have a street, building, several honors named after the two of you.
And don't speed down my street either.
How has this sort of whirlwind been for you with the recognition, the recent recognitions that the two of you have received?
Amazing, unexpected, overwhelming. You think, oh my gosh, my friends and the people we know are just sick of us. You know, sick about hearing about us, and you know, it gets. I don't know. It sometimes it's just overwhelming. You don't know how to react. You're so pleased and so honored. But at the same time, you're just the same people you were a month ago, 2 weeks ago, 43 years ago.
You feel like you don't really deserve it in many ways, but you sure appreciate it. And I guess for both of us, there have been so many people that should be taking credit for so many of the things that happened, and it all ends up focused at the top when, boy, if I look at the team and the work they've done, it's a team that's done it.
These are people that work 24/7. You get emails from Camille Mouton at 3 o'clock in the morning. Steve Doblin reads material that he takes home, he reads all night long. I mean, and they do those things so that you don't have to do them, or that he doesn't have to do them, but he ends up as the one that gets the credit for them.
What I would do too is sometimes if I'd wake up 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I would just go to my cell phone and send all of them an email so they would.
I'm up too.
Yeah. Oh boy. But you know, you go through all of them. Barry Johnson, Steve Doblin, Mike
Kevin
Ferguson,
Smith.
Kevin Smith, athletic director. I mean, I can go on and on, but terrific people.
And they become part of your family because you watch them grow up, you watch them go through romances, you see their kids. Everybody becomes really close.
We're all in this together, and that's the attitude that I've always wanted with the people that work with me.
The end of Simmons' presidency is not the end of their overture to Lamar University, just a different movement, a new yet familiar style.
I asked how he would feel his last day as president. How do you think you'll feel?
Oh, it's a real bag of mixed emotions. You know, one minute I'm fixing to cry, and the next minute I'm so excited I can't wait to fix up my little garden home. But then you have to get past the goodbyes, because the goodbyes are what make you want to cry. So you have to go on to the next and look to the future and not look back. I don't know. It's up and down for me.
These kind of jobs are really 24/7. You know, the phone rings at all hours of the night sometimes, and anytime there's any kind of an issue on the campus or in this community, you're put on alert. And
or you get the call
no matter
when you're
where,
in Austin and the dorms burning down.
Yeah, you're always you're never away from the job. There's always, even no matter where you travel or what you do. We're on a cruise one summer, and we get an emergency call that the governor wants all the presidents on
a conference call on a cruise ship.
So I think it's going to be a shock to both of us to realize that we're just kind of, someone else is going to be taking all those calls and taking all that responsibility. That's good.
I don't know, you know you're going to miss it, but it's going to be a good miss.
Dr. Simmons was named President Emeritus in March 2013. Simmons' career comes full circle as he returns to teach music at Lamar. 43 years later, the music building bears his name. Well, that's a wrap for LUTV on Fox. For more information on Lamar, visit lamar.edu. There you can find information about registration, news articles, a calendar of university events, and so much more. And thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more shows from Lamar University Television on Fox. I'm Josh Yawn. See you then.